Welcome back. Now that we have imported our deduplicated articles into HubMeta, we are ready to start the selection process. As you know, in the PRISMA selection, we have two main stages here. One is to go through your articles in just the title and abstract of them. And then the second one is to go through it as a look at the whole full text of the article. So we have named them title scan and deep scan in our process. But honestly, we are thinking that with AI included in the process, it might not be as clear cut as start from this, then go to that. It might be a little bit of a back and forth between them, or you just might skip one of it completely, or you might just find your own pace with this. But the ultimate goal here in these multiple steps is to have a final includable set of studies with all of their PDFs, all of their sources, ready to extract data from. Okay, so pick is the second stage, which helps us get through that. Let's look at the first part, which is looking at the title scan. This is how it looks. We will see the articles that we have included, an abstract from them, and then we can use like some highlight keywords, like for example, I want to see if they have mentioned the word multinationality in the abstract, or let's just say performance. And you see this one is being highlighted in some of them, so they are mentioning performance. This just makes my job easier in reading the abstracts and making a decision. And I can submit my decision. One thing to mention here is that we have built HubMeta for collaboration. So if you are having a team of people to go over this, like multiple people looking at your articles, they will also have access to this. They will not see each other's decision. They will not see your decision. They can submit their suggestions as to inclusion or exclusion of the article. And then here in your project, you will see that. I'm going to show this to you through an example of one of my published projects. I will go to my title scan. This will show you the decisions that my team of RAs have made, and that helps me make my decision about that. You might see this message again and again that your articles are being loaded. Please be patient with us on that. Believe me, this was a much needed step to make the next steps of the search, the next steps of navigating through the platform much faster. For example, if I go to page 3, all my papers immediately load, so I don't have to wait every time, just one time wait. So now you can see that I have the decisions of my RAs shown here together with the reason they have decided, for example, to exclude these papers. And then based on that, I can, for example, filter based on their decisions, and then, submit my own decision there. So let's go back to the original project that we are working on right now. So again, I can click accept or reject for each of these articles. Up here, we have multiple ways to filter and show or hide some of the articles down here, which are very important. The most important one is the filters, where you can filter based on, for example, the title or the author, or, let's say the years. Let's say you only want the ones from after 2015. You can see that out of 22,000, around 15,000 of them were published after 2015, which is, part of the reason we have to do meta-analysis and systematic reviews, because a whole lot of research is being done every single year. There has to be some way to integrate all of this. So you can play around with these filters. This AI part is very important. I will talk more about it when we explain the AI assist function, but let's skip it for now. And the actions that you see here are multiple things that you would need. First of all, you might need to export the papers that you have in this stage along with the decisions that your team has submitted. This will give you a CSV file with all the papers, all the decisions on them, the reasons and everything. The other one is, for different reasons, you might still have duplicates in this stage. You might have added another file later in the project or have updated your search later on, and you might not have had a chance to run the duplication on that. So you can remove duplicates when you are in title scan stage. What this does is that it looks through all of these and just adds a tag as a duplicate, and then with this button you can show, with this filter you can show or hide them and then make decisions about them. This enrich metadata, what this one does is that it goes through a long process of going through all of your articles and trying to use Crossref and OpenAlex, like all of these platforms that provide information for our articles, to see if, for example, if one study is missing an abstract, let's go and find it. If maybe there is some ambiguity in the name or in the name of the authors, the bibliographic information, that just enriches the metadata of our articles. The other one is detect language. It will detect the language of the articles that you have included. Then, for example, you can say, after you have run that, just say, for example, show me only French ones or Spanish ones. And this is an important point because with AI being present, it is no more acceptable to say in your inclusion criteria that we only looked at English language articles. You have to select all languages because AI can very easily read and translate from all the languages that our articles have been published in. So you can't just not look at one part of the evidence. You have to include that. So this detect language is also important. After you run it, you can filter and see, like, for example, how many papers in other languages you have. This last one, which is inter-rater reliability, I will show it in an older project of mine where I have reviewers submitted their votes. So this is basically the reliability of their decision. So it calculates Cohen's Kappa, the level of agreement between that. This is something usually required in reporting, like what was the Cohen's Kappa of the decisions that about inclusion. This gives you the numbers that you need to report. The other one is ML rank. So what this one does is this one is the AI rank function that we had in the legacy HubMeta 2. So what this one does is it learns from the decisions that you have submitted so far and rank orders the rest of your body of research, all the other papers, based on similarity to your inclusion decision. So if I run ML rank, it will run it on all the thousands of articles that I have. So basically the idea here is that it will bring up in this list of thousands of articles those articles that are closer in wording and in meaning to these ones that I have already included. So you see all the inclusion one come on top, and then the rest of them are what AI or machine learning has detected to be very close in meaning and in mostly wording, close to these ones that I have said yes to. So this makes my job easier. So the idea here was, instead of going through all the 2,000 articles that I have, go through 5,000 of them, and then when you keep doing the ML rank, every time the more relevant ones come up. So what ends up being at the bottom of the pool would be all the irrelevant ones. So after some point, you will see that if you keep going down, you are just rejecting one after the other, and then you have kept rejecting for like 100 papers in a row. That means you are not finding much relevant articles in the remaining, and that's where that becomes your stopping point. So you only look at part of this 22,000. That was a big time saver at the time, but of course, in the new age, we have a better tool which is called AI Assist. I'm going to talk about that